What's happening, my beautiful people? My name is Dirty Mike, and today, my friends, I'm bringing you the ultimate weekend league experience. You're coming along for the journey with yours truly, all 40 matches. And if you appreciate the content, drop a thumbs up right now, early on, because it takes me a long time to generate this type of content. Let me put this into perspective. This is 16 hours worth of 60 frames per second gameplay recorded from the weekend league. And I'm going to give you tactics, squad breakdown, what I loved, what I hated, the types of opponents I like going against, the guys that really, it frustrates me. And in the comments down below, actually, if you could do me a solid and let me know what topics do you want to see discussed in the future 40 and 40, because we got a lot of time. It's more of a conversational type of video where I have the freedom to showcase the gameplay and just talk about everything included in FUT. So if you have any questions, this is your time. Get in the comments and also link your squads. I realize there's no limitations in the upcoming weekend league. On screen, you're seeing the squad that I used. I made a whole video dedicated to this team and tactics, but we're still going to go into a lot more depth in this video. But without further ado, let's get this underway. Hold on! If you do need to pick up any cheap codes or cheap gains, head on over to G2A. Use Dirty at checkout. I'm not saying spend a ton of money, but if you want to generate wins quickly, if you want to better yourself for FUT Champions, you might have to make that investment. The choice is yours. If you play a lot of FIFA, you got a lot of time on your hands, you can do it that way. The rewards are real. It's begun. I hope you guys are having a lovely day. I think this should drop on Wednesday. I never know what to expect when I'm looking at rendering times, and I do like to begin with the squad and talking about why I start with this formation, why I switch into this formation, what I noticed that was good, the bad, and the ugly. As you can see, we're getting things underway. You never know about the servers, and I just wish that EA would be honest and open. If they can't fix the servers, let us know. Hey, we're trying, we're struggling, this is why. Versus ignoring the issue and acting like some games don't have incredible, massive amounts of delay and slow-mo gameplay. Why? We can play the game, we can make our own opinion. Just come out and tell us, yo, you guys that are the consumers, we're struggling. We've got a lot of people on the server, it's dedicated, you're not getting DDoSed, you're not getting kicked off. But in exchange, we are struggling to handle this many players. We don't mean to do it to you. Just be honest. That's all I'm saying, EA. I would appreciate it. And then the built-in input delay, that's got to go pretty soon. At some point here, we've got to eliminate that there is actual built-in delay. And I almost feel it's an Xbox exclusive, because I've played quite a bit on the PS4 and I just don't notice it. It just seems that everything's a little more crisp with the passing, the build-up. It's faster. You guys let me know in the comments. If you've played on both consoles, or if you only play on the PS and you notice input delay, comment. If you don't notice input delay, comment. I want to hear your opinions. Maybe it's just me, but from playing on both platforms, that's something I've noticed, and I hate this so much. This is why people recommend playing only home matches, because this stadium, I think it's the Stoke Stadium, this stadium will ruin a match for you. It gives me an instant headache, and I was fortunate to get a goal where we were able to push on and get a W, and it wasn't because my opponent was at the same level as me. I just am struggling. I don't know if my eyes are getting old or if it's just everything going together, but when people are using that stadium and then they have green kits, forget about it. But let's talk about the squad a little bit. So I start out in the 4-3-2-1 formation. Very common formation to get the links that you need to have full chemistry when you go into the match. And then I'm going to swap into a 4-1-2-1-2 formation. I've had a lot of success with it recently. Last weekend, well, the weekend prior to the highlights that I'm showing you right now, I had 36 wins. Pretty solid. And I liked that I was able to generate good counterattacks, even decent pressure versus a lot of park the bus opponents. I can go on and on and on about the amount of sweat and the conservative play that you're going to run up against in FUT Champs. It's nasty. There's no other way to describe it. You want to talk about dirt? Oh man, they keep it real dirty. You're in a mud puddle in a lot of these matches, and it's not often that the best gameplay wins. It's about grinding out the nasty goals and playing consistent, not conceding dumb goals. We all make mistakes, but making sure it's not a gift of a mistake. And I'll put an example out there for you. If you give the ball away with your defender, if somebody takes it off your defender, then you can count on your opponent making a good opportunity. Whether he's a good player, an average player, above average, it makes total sense in my mind if I make that type of error where I give them a gift. I was like, hey, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy New Year's, whatever you want to celebrate or not celebrate, Happy Birthday, whatever. That's what you're giving them. You're giving them an opportunity he didn't earn. And you've got to make sure when you make mistakes that they're not major errors. It's a big way to win more games. When I watch other competitive players and I watch some of the best people online, it's all the same. People are not making these major mistakes because they're going to lose games. And you can't come back from that type of situation. It's good luck. I also would like to see your records down below in the comments. But back to the squad. And I've stressed this many times in previous videos, but when you're going to FUT Champs, it's almost more important to not necessarily have the highest rated players, but have players that you're comfortable with. I wouldn't recommend going to FUT Champs without players or with new players that you've never experimented with, you've never played with, this is your first time, because if they don't click, it'll be noticeable and it can offset the team to the point that it costs you a game or it costs you 2 games. And when everything's so tight, and the rewards are so, one win here or one loss there could change what you're getting at the end of the week or at the end of the month. No, sir. You need to make sure these are players that you've put up some games with. You've played maybe 30 to 50 games at least before going into FUT Champs. I understand if you haven't had that time to put in with the squad, but at least with the players so you know what you can expect, what you can count on. And that's where I'm going to start on the defense. So I've got Boateng, the legend Brema, who I do highly recommend. I think he's the best left back legend, even with Roberto Carlos and other defensive legends on the wings. I think Brema will do exactly what you're looking for as a defender, being all over the pitch. And I'm going to actually use him as a right back. You see that I have kind of a random non-rare from the Premier League as my right back. He's coming out of the game. Alaba's coming on. Alaba's going to play left back. Brema has a 5-star weak foot. And this is all about knowing your players. Remember, know your players. Know your personnel. Be a manager. Play Ultimate Team as if you are that manager. So I'm going to move Brema to the right back position. No problem. 5-star weak foot. He can make the hard passes. And when I'm talking about hard passes, the big switches, the threaded through balls, you've got to be capable of making some of those passes, especially if you're using a wide formation. I always like to switch into the 4-2-3-1, which I've discussed in previous videos. If I'm winning a match and I feel that I can control the tempo a little bit better, then I like to swap into the 4-2-3-1. Does that mean I stop attacking? No. Does that mean Mike's holding the ball? No. Does that mean I am time wasting? I'm killing the game? No. It's just a different look at a different feel, and you're kind of trading a striker for a CDM. So it is more defensive, and you have a wider formation. But it doesn't work versus any opponent. However, I do like it versus some of the 4-3-3 opponents that I go up against. That formation gives me a lot of trouble, actually. The 4-3-3-4, that type of opposition, they hold the ball so well, and they have all this additional space that as a game progresses, nobody's got a breakthrough. I find it very difficult that they're able to constantly get in my defensive area. They might not be scoring goals, but just their presence of being there makes it difficult for me to counterattack and generate attacks, and that they always have outlets. And I've talked about this in many of my formation review videos that I've done with Ovi, where you need wide formations, or you need men that have some width. That sounds strange. You need some width in your squad to find outlets, unless you're very comfortable lobbing it up to Ronaldo and letting him go to work. A 4-1-2-1-2, the second variation, a 4-3-1-2, these are direct formations. Good goal scoring, good pressure formations. But with that being said, they aren't going to be formations that allow you to slow down matches. You often have to play at a very quick pace. And you need to play some nice tiki-taka, a little pass and move. Or that pass through ball feel. Both of those, both in which could be the bad or the wrong option, I should say. The wrong option if you're trying to close out a match. Because if you've got a 2-0 lead, for example, all right, that doesn't mean stop attacking, but you need to make sure that he earns those goals. Remember, I talked about gifts. You don't want to allow people to do that. And it's much easier to press a narrow formation with another narrow formation, and then the game's back and forth. It might be in the midfield. Whoever gets a lucky bounce is going to get an opportunity. And that's when you see those squads with legends on legends on legends that cause so many issues, and they create a lot of consistency with wins because, dude, what's she going to do? You're not going to win many of those 50-50s. And there are a few players that I would say are legend tier that are just normal players. The Ronaldo, the Pogba. You got to have a noise or a sound effect when you're talking about those types of guys. Gareth Bale, he's there. Who else am I missing that's definitely at a legend tier? Defensively, Boateng, I feel, is in that legend category. He's worth discussing. Is there anyone else that I just guaranteed have to mention? Maybe Suarez. I don't think Neymar quite makes it. He could, though. He's still got the 5 and 5. Just might depend how well you are with his movement. Are you good at skill moves? Are you slippery? What's the professor? Snake? Nope, I don't think Snape from Harry Potter. I feel like I'm having a brain freeze this morning. Don't roast me. I love Harry Potter, all right? I actually saw it was on TV, and Harry Potter is one of those movies, every time that you're scrolling through the channels, if you appreciate that series, you stop for a second, you watch it for 10 minutes, hits the commercial break, and then you keep it moving. Kind of like an old school. I know those are totally different genres. Or Lord of the Rings. There's another fantasy movie. If it's on TV and you're scrolling, hitting the channel, you're going to sit back, or you're going to get stuck, I should say. You're going to get stuck watching that for at least 5 or 10 minutes. Because it represents just that era, that time period. And we get off to an excellent start, as you guys could see. 12-0. I thought this was going to be maybe a special weekend. I'm not saying it's not going to be special. That is not a quote. I'm just saying when I started at 10-0, and I was like, maybe I can get 15-0. Maybe I can really put some pressure, because I know that I've been closing out well, and I often struggle in the middle of FUT Champs. I haven't decided. I don't know why. I don't know if that's just my dry time, if I'm losing focus or motivation, or just nothing's happening differently. It ain't working for me. I'm not sure. If you guys have a struggle period, whether it's the first 10 games, the 15th to the 25th game, or closing out, I want to know in the comments. And why do you think you struggle in that area? Because I will say this, before I've taken my first loss, I sometimes do feel pressure because I have that 0, right? I want to hold on to this. This is important to me, and I can overthink some chances or make too many passive choices. And I've talked about FIFA in all sorts of different lights in terms of the facets of the game, how to be successful, the tutorials, the tips. But I do feel that FIFA and EA reward you for being decisive, for making choices offensively and defensively. And if you just sit back and relax, you might win some games. But when you're playing the top guys, no way. And we're going to discuss all that. I know I haven't really got into the squad just yet, but I've had a lot of things on my mind. I'm rambling a little bit. Remember, this is about kind of having a conversation with you guys at home, the consumers, because we've got time. 40 games, that's a lot of time. Trust. I understand it's time for the squad. Put that off long enough. So where I started was with Brema. Remember, he's going to be my right back. Fantastic. I definitely rate him. I will use him again in the future. I'm not sure what his price point is at the moment. I want to say for last weekend I picked him up around 450 to 475,000 coins, in that range. Hold on. You got to keep that voice moving. High quality H2O. Seen that movie, right? Come on. Somebody's seen that movie. That was a hint. But defensively, Boateng and Koscielny work. I also like, and I do recommend, Smalling, and he gets that link up for De Gea, who's been excellent for me this year. And then, as I previously stated, Brema's the right back, Alaba's going to be the left back, even though Brema appears to be a natural left back. Don't worry about it, 5-star weak foot. And Alaba is lovely. I think he combines well with Boateng. Having both those guys as your wing fullbacks allows you to be a little bit more aggressive. And in terms of custom tactics and just instructions in general, I've made a complete video dedicated to both. But I will say this about instructions, because I know that some people weren't aware, and I want to make sure that I want to keep reiterating information, because if one person had a question, 2 people have a question, 3 people have a question, and so forth. At least I learned that when I was in school. If one person raised their hand, asked a question, trust me, somebody else in that classroom has the same question. unless they're asking about going to the bathroom and they need permission. I don't know. So the question that I get quite frequently, and I want to clarify again, when you switch formations in game, do you need to switch instructions? And the answer is yes, absolutely. Every time. Doesn't matter if you change your formation once, twice. Each time you make that change, you must change or adjust the instructions. It's like a hard reset. You have to re-enter or make those changes with the formation that you've swapped into. So at the beginning of the game, I'm not just subbing in Alaba and switching to a 4-1-2-1-2. I am also going to swap instructions every single time. You get quick at it. After you've done it a few times, don't worry. You'll be able to do it within 40 seconds. No worries. Life will be okay. And then in the midfield, remember I'm in a 4-1-2-1-2. My CDM is Renato Sanchez, who is just gold in this game. There's no other way to say it. He's reliable. And it's crazy. This game on screen, actually, I think I get my tail whipped a little bit in this one. Maybe not. Maybe I'm mistaken. Let me pull this back up. We start to wiggle and come back. No, it was too little, too late. There's going to be a game in here that I don't like the score line. And it's so ironic because I didn't necessarily play someone that was better than me. But because the connection was so clean, I was mistiming everything. But more power to him. And I don't want to give away the final tally. If you've been on Twitter, though, or social media, you know how many wins I ended up with this weekend. You know exactly where my standing is. But I want to make sure you guys stick around to the end. And in the comments, I should have said this at the beginning of the video, Mike. But if you have a goal that really sticks out, or you have any questions about any of the dribbling, or the intangibles, or the passing, ask. And make sure to hit me with the minute, so it's easy for me to flip to. Don't say, I saw a goal in there, you did some wiggling and working. How'd you do that? What's the controls? I'm like, can you give me something a little more specific? It's like if you see somebody rob a convenience store, you're like, can you describe who robbed that convenience store? Yeah, he was wearing a black shirt. Can you give me anything else? He had brown hair. Okay, brown hair, black shirt. That's pretty broad. Anything else? He was between 5'8" and 6'1". That doesn't help you. It fits almost everyone. But yeah, don't just generalize. If you have a question about whether it's passing, defending, breaking up play, counterattacks, any of the above, use the comments. That's going to be our source. And I'm going to do my best to either include responses in this video or carry it over to another video depending what it's all about. I did a video recently talking about the secrets of FUT, and I believe that a lot of people, just based on the responses, you guys appreciate it, and that's awesome. That means I made a good video, and the idea and the concept was right on point. Ooh, love that. Love that on screen. But back to the squad. Renato Sanchez is certified, solidified, incredible, monster, beast, overpowered. Any type of superlative you want to use. He's that guy. That dude. He's going to be the next up-and-coming rapper. He's incredible. Have I said enough? Of course. Breaks up all the plays. Very physical. Just better than everything that he has statistically. And then next to him, I've got Pogba on the right side. And I want to stress, if you have a right footer and a left footer, right side. Left footer, left side. Across the body is overpowered. Across the body scores goals. Don't miss out on free opportunities or just putting yourself in the most efficient circumstance or scenario in FIFA, because it's going to happen. So I've got Pogba on the right side for those long shots, and he's got so much power behind them. And then I've got Conte on the left side, where he actually ended up with, it's unheard of, 18 assists. And I'm going to show all the statistics for the players. I'll throw it on screen. You guys know I keep all these manual stats because I'm a nerd, and I want to have stat room stuffing type of... I want to measure what's good, what's bad, why did I win more, why did I lose more, who's performing, who's up to par, who scored goals, who didn't, and so forth and so on. But yeah, those will be on screen, full statistics attacking-wise that include goals and assists. And then I also will mention how many goals I scored and how many I conceded, but I'll probably wait till the end of the video for that one. I'll make y'all sit tight for just a moment. And back to the team again. I know I keep kind of going in and out, but I think that's all good. You guys have seen me discuss many of these players, but Pogba on the right, and he's a special player. He's a difference maker. He's a marquee matchup performer, whatever you want to throw it out there. He's special. And I mean that by every definition of that word. Yeah. No, well, actually, not the slow bus type of special, but he is a god in FIFA. He is that legend status, like I previously mentioned, and if you put him into a squad, you will notice him. He's big, he's got 5-star skill moves, he breaks up plays, and he always scores or creates, no matter what position I use him in. I've played Pogba as a CDM, played him as a center mid, a cam, a center forward, a striker. Does not matter. Any of those central areas on the pitch, and Paul Pogba, you cannot lack production. It's just not possible. He just finds places to be, or situations that allow you to be successful, and that's a gift. And the same goes for Conte in a way, but he's more on the defensive prowess. He just doesn't stop chasing, doesn't stop working. He's annoying to have. He's great. If you go against, forget about it. Very annoying. And when games go to extra time or later in a match, you need someone to break up a play. You need someone to give you the good. Conte's that guy. He never gets tired. And even Pogba, they both have over 90 stamina. And if you're like me, I want my midfielders to last. I don't want them to die out. That hurts me. It makes you a hindrance on the pitch. I can't have that. And then Rui Costa, I used the weekend prior to last weekend, and I liked him. I like his boots. I like his positioning. I like his finishing, his passing. There's not a negative there. And he's also got decent size. I believe he's listed at 5'10", but he feels big on the pitch. He definitely doesn't have that short man syndrome where you're sitting there looking at Insigne or Mertens and wondering to yourself, is this guy going to be usable? Even someone like Zola, is this guy going to be usable? Can I count on him if the connection is not so hot? It's not that good. And I often find myself in a debate with people regarding Benzema and Modric. Kind of in the midfield, because you need that link if you want Bale and Ronaldo and you want full chemistry. And because FUT Champs is slow in connection, I typically will lean towards going with Benzema because size really is a big indicator of getting some of the lucky bounces, the bounce backs, the physical play, maybe something in the air. And Modric is a better technical player. His dribbling, and just in general, how he can kind of move side to side and facilitate. But when the connection is no good, you lose a lot of these intricacies in FIFA. So just another example, just throwing that out there. If you've been in that debate, which seems to be very common, if you're trying to get a Gareth Bale or a Ronaldo into your squad, that's an easy way to bring all the chemistry together. I think Benzema will suit you better for FUT Champs. Unless you're just somebody who gets premium connection, but that's not what I see on Twitter ever. Everybody's complaining. But Rui Costa, great provider. And then up top, I've gone with Ronaldo and Martial. And remember to use right footer on right side, left footer on left side for those across the body. I know that they're both right-footed, but that means on the right side, the dominant side, go with your better player. Martial can cut inside, but you don't want to lose the power and the creativity and the physicality of Ronaldo. Keep him on his dominant side because you can hit that across the body shot. And if you guys are good at the shield, I just made a tutorial recently, but you can push off here. So you can kind of shove him. Look at that one more time. You can shove him, creates a little space, and then you can shoot with your right foot across the body. Shove him or hold it just a tad bit, and then across the body with that right foot. And it's just crucial to success, and that's why you have someone like Ronaldo on his dominant side, because he's going to be able to do everything. But overall, love the squad. Not many negatives. I prefer not to do that substitution at the beginning of games. Not as big of a fan of doing the sub. I don't mind swapping formations, but something about the substitution just, I don't know. I'm not saying it wasn't organic, but you have to almost wait for the ball to go out if you want everybody on the pitch to move for your new formation swap, and it just feels awkward sometimes at the beginning of the match. You've unpaused the game. Just look at this in perspective. You unpause the game, you've made your changes, but they really don't come into play until the ball goes out. But I don't want to give you possession. That's the worst thing I could do, because I know I can play well, and I don't want to necessarily kick the ball out and let you start up, even if it's from your back end. I don't really like doing that, because sometimes I score for my first attack, and if that happens, you're going to see rage quits. And in this video, if you can guess how many rage quits or count them, sit back and relax. This will be a lot. And that's another point that I'm going to bring up shortly, where I'm talking about skill rating. Is it possible for me to get a skill rating that's going to put me in a position to be in the top for the regional, or to be in one of the top places in the top 100 with all these rage quits that I receive, because they often quit out at 1-0 or 2-0. They don't allow me to get 4 goals, 5 goals, 6 goals, something like that that is important for that skill rating. And EA is so suspect with this, because they say it's about who you match up with. They say you're always going to get harder opponents as you progress, but that's not always the case. I've played people when I'm in Elite, and I'm sure that I'm playing somebody that has 15 wins. Why should we be able to match up based on your system? Based on the, is it the Glyco? I think it's pronounced Glyco. It's Gliko, I believe. Based on your system and the algorithm that you've got set up, it shouldn't be possible necessarily for me to meet that type of person. All right? But if you guys have had this issue, if you have any opinions or theories about their matchup system, I'd like to hear it, because I don't entirely agree with Boris, who says once he gets 12 wins, every game from that point forward feels the same. I don't necessarily agree with that, but I do feel that you can get matched up with a large, I'm talking a vast variety of oppositions once you are in that 12 to 15 win area. You can get matched up with such a big player pool, and I don't think it should necessarily be like that. I think EA looks for you to match with similar players in similar divisions, but quickly, if there's nobody there, or you guys keep backing out on each other, I don't know, then they move on and they're trying to give you somebody else. I've even met people multiple times in the same weekend, which I don't think that should be possible either. I don't think you should be playing people 2 or 3 times. Have you guys matched up with the same people? Because I swear I saw a forum post that EA said that is not possible, and I am here to tell you it is definitely possible. I have played, even in some of these videos, I think there's a couple videos where I play somebody twice. Same guy. So it is 100% possible. And if you guys have any 6 squads actually for this weekend upcoming, I know there's no limitations, talk to me, because I'm not going to roll with the same team. I prefer to eliminate that sub. Plus, maybe I'll trade this legend up for that legend if I want to really do that. Remember, on the Xbox, legends are almost a necessity if you want the ultimate level of success. If you can afford a Rude Hullet, life will be good for you. That's a purchase that I'd like to make. Ooh, Paul Pogba. And when you know when he hits one, that everything is going to hit the back of the net. It's a rocket. When he connects with the right technique, you know when it leaves his foot, the goalkeeper has nothing that he can do with that. He's going to have to wait. And in terms of oppositions that I don't like going up against, because I want you guys to tell me who you guys do not enjoy. What style of player bothers you most? It could be a high pressure guy, maybe someone who plays a very wide formation, someone that plays a narrow formation, the quick tiki-taka player, the slow shielding build-up player. We're going to talk about that. And that's a point that I want to transition into, because I've noticed, and I'm kind of aware which guy I hope I don't get matched up against. There's basically 3, and they kind of correlate, that I sit to myself and I pray to the FIFA gods, please don't give me too many games against this type of player. As I was saying, these are the 3 types of players. Number 1, it doesn't matter the formation, park the bus guy. Really doesn't matter what formation you're choosing to use. If you start the match in that park the bus format, it's always frustrating. In fact, even worse than park the bus brings me to number 2. Custom formation, people. This is banned in tournaments, to my knowledge. Even when I was playing a lot of money matches back in the day with Gamer Saloon, World Gaming, Virgin Gaming, a bunch of different sites were up and coming, I would always put, and so would many people, no 5 at the back, no custom formation. And that was pretty common for wagers, because people don't want to play against that. It's not about the better player. And I hate when I see tweets coming at me saying, Mike, custom formations are tactical. And I'm sitting here thinking to myself, evaluating, like, how? Playing 7 defenders, 8 defenders, 9 defenders, there's nothing tactical about that. And I know people like to make a comparison regarding real football, where people park the bus and they don't try to attack and they just do their best to defend. Look, that whole squad has to move as one unit, and sometimes for long periods of time. For 60 minutes they have to defend, and everything's done manually, and it's just not a good comparison to FIFA, where the AI blocks every shot. They sit in the box. They're hard to beat. They don't fall for any skill moves. Just think of having 9 of those guys now crowding space. There's nothing tactical about it. There's nothing skillful about it. And it's so frustrating because the players never get out of position because they don't push them forward. When you have a custom formation, those players that naturally would start to drift forward with your team, just like any squad, they don't do that anymore. So what happens is you're looking up top, you've got like there's 3 strikers, and then they have 7 defenders that have no midfield. So there isn't a lot here, and they kick it deep, they hope to win a header, they usually have high-rated players, and then when you get into their back line, you're always battling it out. I mean, you can't find any space. Forget about a long shot. You're not going to find even a couple quick little passes because they're literally next to each other. Bang, 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 bang. That's got to go. If you ban custom formations from tournaments, which many tournaments, that is off limits. You can't use them. Then in a competitive game mode, you should also not have custom formations. And then the last type of player that I struggle against that brings problems, and there's nothing wrong with this. The first 2, I think, annoy most people. Custom formations, I just think you're the biggest hoe bag. I hate your style. I don't respect the way you play FIFA. I think that you are scared beyond belief and you are not even trying to play the game right. You can't take it to a tournament. You are the ultimate window shopper. Now, park the bus, it's a tactic, it's annoying, I've gotten used to it, I understand that's in the game, I still don't like it, don't respect it, I understand it. Now, number 3, which I can accept to the fullest, is players that play the 4-3-3-4 or wide, maybe 4-2-3-1, very slow build-up. That style is difficult for me. Anything wide, because remember, I'm playing a very narrow formation, and if they play very slow and patient via the wings, they might not make a lot of opportunities. And by they, I'm talking about your opposition. He or she or him or it. I don't know. I said him twice or he twice. Maybe he, she. We got a Bruce Jenner. But no. That opponent of yours might not make a lot of opportunities. But they do have a certain sense of control in the match. And that's going to create a problem. If you don't score with your chances, you're not going to be able to pressure them the same way. And when you're playing these narrow formations, you're usually looking for some quick counters and breaking up plays, and that's not something you can look forward to when you're going against that wide formation. So for me, I struggle sometimes against the park the bus. Always the custom formation guys just piss me off. They make me want to hold the ball against them. And then last but not least, it's usually the 4-3-3-4, maybe the wide 4-2-3-1. It's still got to be a good player, but they just have a good sense of control in the match. And you realize, or you know as a player, if you make a mistake, they're going to capitalize, they're going to score, and then you're sat chasing. And I can't stress this enough, how important in FIFA 17 it is to score first if you're playing FUT Champs and you're expecting to have consistency and you're expecting to have real results on a regular basis. And you want to always finish with 31 plus wins or 30 plus wins. If you can't build up consistency, it won't be for you. And I'm not going to go into a lot of depth this video about cherry picking. We brought it up in the past because when you see 15 pros, and that didn't really happen this weekend. I think it's more so because of the restrictions in terms of the squads. But when you see 15 pro players go 40-0, clearly none of them played each other. And that means they must be choosing their opponents. I'm actually hoping for January that EA maybe throws us a curveball and they remove information about your opponents so you don't know that club. I feel bad for FUT founders. I feel bad for people with a 2011 account, 2012 account, because I know you must go match after match after match before somebody will actually play you in some circumstances. Because even myself, I have a 2016 account. But people, I think they know my club name. They know who they're matching up with from time to time. It might take me 5 to 8 times to get into a match at certain given back and forth in FUT Champs. It just, that is what it is. And it does mess with the experience a little bit because you're kind of on a timer. When you have to play this many games over the weekend, you cannot cherry pick all the time. You cannot sit and wait and be like, all right, I want to play this guy, I don't want to play that dude. No, you've got to get into games, and sometimes you just can't get someone to play you. And the last point that I kind of want to talk about in this video, as you see, we're 32-4. I like that. Is the ultimate balance. And I haven't really discussed this, but it's such a monumental, maybe monumental is not the word, it's such a necessity if you're building squads that have balance with your defense, balance with your midfield, balance with your attack. Let me explain balance a little bit. So in the midfield, you don't want to have 3 center mids that are going to be all attacking. You have no balance there. You're going to have a lot of frustration because those players are not going to break up plays. They're not going to win 50-50s. When they miss a tackle, the bounce back might go to your opponent, and it should because your statistics just aren't there. Now let me bring up the next point of balance. Size. You don't want to have 3 guys that are under 6 foot in your midfield. And I'm really spending time on the midfield to start because I just think whoever wins the midfield wins the game. From my experience playing FIFA, you win that battle, you're going to start attacks, you're going to break up plays, you're going to have more possession and more opportunities to score versus your opponent. And that's crucial to success on any level of FIFA skill. Division 5, Division 1. The FUT Champs, the draft, seasons, whatever you're playing, it doesn't matter, online friendlies. But that's one thing that I think I did good in this squad is you got the 6'3 Pogba, you got the 5'9 physical Renato Sanchez, you got the small Conte, and then you have another average height guy with Costa who's more involved in the attack. And the same goes with the strikers. If you're not able to have 2 large and fast strikers, for example, Gareth Bale or Ronaldo, when they're tag team together, you've got 2 athletic, fast, good size, don't get tired, all the above. A lot of positives when you have those 2. But let's say you have one guy that you really like, he's small. Not a super physical striker. Let's use Griezmann, for example. With Griezmann, you would prefer to team him up with somebody that has some sort of physicality involved. You see a lot of Ronaldo Griezmanns. You might even see a Suarez Griezmann. Suarez is a little more physical, but he's not super physical. I'm thinking more of like a Lukaku and a Griezmann. Well, they're both left-footed. I'm just thinking out loud here. Maybe you could go with a Benteke, but it's good to have someone with size to really give you that balance, to go with your through ball type of player. Whether you play a bunch of through balls or you do a bunch of build up, it's nice to have enough balance where you can press your opponent in different ways. Where you might have a target man, you're posted up, you're shielding. You might play quick the next possession. He's got to try to stop the counter attack or cover up some of the additional space that you've created. It's so good to keep your opposition guessing. And then defensively, same concept. Your fullbacks, if they have good size, that's a bonus. If they're 5'10" and up, that's a bonus. And Bremen and Alaba both are decent size. They're not big. They're not huge. And then in the center backs, oh man, if you can get somebody who's, I would say 6'2" and up is a really good place. When you have a center back that's 6'1" and under, no matter what his statistics look like, for me, they just don't have the same presence. So Thiago Silva does not have the same presence as a Boateng this year. And he won't. And he won't be as valuable. It's clear to everyone that's used both. Which one would you prefer? And you guys see I finished with 36 wins, 73 in the world. We're going to be opening some big boy packs. My girl makes fun of me for saying that. But it's a good weekend. I'm very happy to go 36 this weekend, 36 the weekend prior. I told you guys that I was going to stop streaming the FUT Champs matches just because I wanted to kind of get some more training. I know January will be a qualifying period, and whether I qualify for something or I don't, I want to make sure I give myself the best opportunity and do well for you guys that appreciate the tutorials and the content and the tips and want to see me, oh, Mike needs to go for it. Mike could push on. I think right now, after 2 weeks of December, I'm sitting number 6 or number 7 in the regional, which is what you're aiming for. You need to be top 12 to get yourself to a live event, and when you get to a live event, anything can happen. If you appreciate the content, though, as always, drop a thumbs up, subscribe if you're brand new, and I have a lot more coming your way ASAP.